Hey everybody, how y'all doing? I know it's been about, sorry, I'm trying to get my camera set up here a little bit because I'm not used to doing this anymore. Um, it's Jeff from Jeff's Vegetable Gardening and Containers. Um, I'm going to be back starting to post again here soon. I know it's been about 6 months. Yeah, probably about 6 months ago, maybe even a little longer. I just started getting I posted a couple pictures here of my harvest, but I haven't been doing much with videos or showing how I do things, that kind of stuff, in a long time. After doing it for, geez, 7, 8 years or whatever, and I appreciate all the comments, all the likes and shares and all that stuff. You just get sometimes things get you kind of get burned out from it a little bit, because every time you're doing something, your video and trying to show people, and you don't know if it's going anywhere, and it's not about the glitz or the glamour. It's just about you're just wondering, and I do get a lot of comments, a lot of likes. I just and you kind of get burnt out from it. So where I'm at now is I'm going to start getting back into it a little bit by little, slower, and then keep moving on and keep getting back to where I not fully where I was, but just to a point with the vegetables and what I do down here in my Florida area for growing stuff and putting everything in. And so I'll be posting a couple of videos over the next couple of days, and as I do things. And the last real time I was doing a lot of video was last year when I had a tractor in the yard, and I was digging up all the piping for watering underneath the ground from when I put my outdoor shower in, and took my two downspouts in the back of the house and ran them directly in the ground to keep the under the sand where it gets to be still sand, but it's a little bit more darker. So I'd have moisture under there. And of course, in Florida, when it is hurricane season or it is summer, you get more rain. But this time of year, you're kind of in a drought, so that doesn't really come in effect. It's more watering. So I have automatic watering sprinklers that I used to have throughout the whole yard. That was here when I bought the house, was completely busted, and I spent probably a week digging up the yard by hand and fixing fittings, fixing pipe. And after a while, you get it running for a couple of days or a week or two, and it would just come back uh, with another bust because the PVC would just rot out underneath over the years. So the heads for the sprinkler system, they would go to, and so I got it working. Then I finally said, "The heck with it, I'm going to do something myself." So I ended up using the feeding systems like I have up on my garden up north. It has like hose feeding it with a round disc, and it goes off to like 13 tubes, and you can feed individual buckets and get everything growing you want to get growing that way with water. Um, and the other ones I did dig 1 inch and 3/4 mains on the backyard, and then ran that in the middle of the yard through my maze of fruit trees. And I dug PVC and I put a oscillating sprinkler up in the middle off the ground, and that comes on like every 4 days and just waters the whole area for. I think I only got it on for a half hour, just enough to give a little quench to everything. And when I'm down here, probably once a week, I manually um, water everything real heavy. Uh, week and a half, but I just make sure because even though it's dry and it's cooler down, when I say cool, it's still 80, 85 during the day, 60s at night normally. You still got to keep up down here because when you go from, especially November all the way through April down here, I found and heard and found from being here that it's a drought down there. I mean, when you don't see rain for 6 months or whatever, I mean, you don't see an ounce of rain. You don't see nothing, not even clouds. And it's beautiful. I love it. I just love the warm weather and all that. But it could be tedious as far as keeping up with the watering. But overall, I'm going to start getting back into things. I'm going to start with a video on what I got going on outside and what I've been working on. as far as the vegetables go with everything, and then we'll go from there. I'm glad to see get back online a little bit here and see everybody. Thirsty, sorry. See everybody, and then we'll get back to what we can with this. And most of my stuff now is all planted and in containers or in the ground, so I don't have many how I did it videos because most of that's done over the last year or two. But me and my wife or friends can't go anywhere without always seeing something on sale or buying something. And even though you don't have a lot of spots to put it, you still put it in the ground, you still grow it, and see what it does. So it's a good thing down here, and I really enjoy it like I did up north. But down here it's a little different because I still garden um, for others and give neighbors and everything down here like I did up there away the fruit to I give my wife some, of course, but most of it I give away to everybody else. So it's not a supplement to have to feed or something we need. It's something that's good for my wife's health and others that like that stuff. I just personally, only a few things I eat that I grow, and mostly down here what I grow compared to up north, I don't eat very, very few things. Um, and then I'll go through all my stuff we put outside recently and added in, and everything's actually. We had one little cold spell that everybody had about a week ago, but we weren't here. I was actually up north to get my wife because she kind of messed up her knee and drove her down here. So we're everything out there is going pretty good too. So we're going to get on to seeing what we got, what's going on, and just keep moving from there. Sorry if that fan in the background, it's a prop fan I got back there that really moves some air, and I'm just addicted to 24 hours a day to have some kind of fan run on me. I know it's kind of psycho. But I'm going to hop up here. I'm going to grab this camera stand here and take you after my vegetables and stuff like that. And we'll go over that. And I'll tell you how we did it and what we did to get to that process. And we'll move on from there. All right, guys. Hold on. Let me grab this camera. Be right with you. Don't notice it shake too much because it'll start shaking. It'll start shaking everywhere. So what I wanted to do is just bring you over here real quick. And I didn't get a chance to show you yet, but you can see these. I was just moving stuff in my trailer / garden, and you can see these green bell peppers that came off. I've got 5 of them right there, and I've already earlier had when I was down here earlier this year, already had a harvest of green and purple peppers here. In these 2 boxes here, can you get me the tomatoes from inside, please? The bucket of tomatoes you bring me. And here you'll see I got rags over these boxes. What I actually have in these boxes is when I left up north, is I had a bunch of tomatoes in the garden. They were all green and nowhere near ripe or ready to go, but they were still firm enough, but had a little texture to them. You could move them a little bit on the sides, squeeze them just a little bit to where I could still use them and take care of things. So what I did was just 2 days ago, I took the rest of my green ones. I want to show you these here. These are ones I ripened so far, and you can see they're small ones, but they've all ripened up real nice. And this gives, tomatoes for my wife. She loves them, and you can see that one type of blonde pepper that I had. But these 2 boxes are inside the boxes. They're all tomatoes with the stem taken out of them by manually stem taken out of them. Flipped over so the stem side's down, and I fill the whole 1 level of tomatoes in each box. And what I do is I put an apple in the center of each box, or you can use a banana. But what it does is bananas and apples put off. I know I'm thinking refrigeration polishing gas. That's not what it is, but it puts off a type of gas inside the box, and you don't want it 100% airtight. Like you want it to where it can breathe just a little bit, and but that gas mixed with the tomato gases makes these tomatoes ripen just like these tomatoes did here. And then you got yourself a bunch of tomatoes, and instead of just having a bunch of green tomatoes that you can't do much with, or you just let them rot out because they weren't going to ripen up north in the cold weather and they're going to just fall off and die. Here's some tomatoes to look forward to, and they I don't eat tomatoes, but my wife tells me they taste fantastic. So that's a little bit I got going on with the garden in here. This is just a bag of potatoes I brought down with me that we had left. We just didn't want them to go bad. You see these seed potatoes here. These seed potatoes are ones I had left over from last season. So I'm going to take those seed potatoes, and outside I put some potatoes in the buckets before I left. They did not work for the first time ever on me, but I'm going to take these red and purple potatoes and put them in the buckets. Replace the other ones, put these in the buckets and get them in there with blood meal and bone meal, and then they'll take off like crazy. And then you see these are sweet potatoes left over from last year's haul, and I'm going to take probably half of these and give them away to the neighbors that want to eat them, and then the rest she can have because she likes to eat potatoes, sweet potatoes, baked potatoes. I love potatoes, but I'm more of a mashed slash add cheese in the mash kind of, that kind of stuff person. So that's kind of what I got going on in here. I got, the whole garage all set up with everything the way I got to do it for projects. I do mechanical stuff, and it's all set up real nice. Little overcrowded right now in the middle, which normally isn't. Normally, a lot more of this stuff's been put away, but right now, just have hung cabinets everywhere, put cabinets in and everything, and it becomes quite a cure. So we're going to go out here to my garden. It's on my trailer, which I use for my trailer down here. I decided to use when I bought my trailer. I always bring a trailer full of stuff up or back from here. We just always have so much stuff that we do. So I just wanted to go through everything with you. This is a squash plant coming up here right now. It's probably 2 weeks, maybe 2.5 weeks. It should start getting its flowers on it soon. Yesterday, this is a red cherry tomato plant. You can see I had it in a little, like maybe 1 gallon, 2 gallon container. I put it in a 5 gallon bucket, and it's looking real good. There's another, maybe it's back here. See if I can find it. Oh, there it is. There's the other tomato, and that's a yellow pear tomato. And that'll put up those tiny little yellow ones, because down there in Florida, I did last year have some big tomatoes, but most of the time down there with the season you have and the weather, the big tomatoes just don't keep up or do what they want, and it becomes nasty. You can see this. You can see the. Let me see if I can turn this camera up a little bit. Maybe you can see. You can see this here. The eggplants growing on here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You can see they're starting to get to a decent size here. These eggplants, so really taking off, and I'm gonna get full of strawberries, but I'll show you a minute on the side of the house where I hung something and to grow things in my PVC hangers, and I took a lot of strawberries out here, but I left a couple in, so they should grow back. These are peppers here. This plant took a big hit, but it's coming back now. And I think I showed you just a minute ago where there were some peppers on there. You can see this here. These banana peppers on here, they're growing real nice. There's half a dozen or more banana peppers on there now. If we go back behind this one, you can see the Japanese eggplants on that one, and there's 1, 2, 3. There's like 10 of them on there, but I have to. There's one huge one on there I got to get off. But when they start fruiting, they do get fruit, and I haven't done it because I wasn't here. But I'm back now. I'm going to do it today, and I'll post a picture of what I actually get off here. If you don't get your fruits off your vegetable trees, they'll just die, and they won't produce more. They won't do anything because they're still trying to survive what you have going on. This is a green bell pepper plant here. There's a couple small ones growing on there, and this one, which didn't fall off, but you can see down in here, that broken stem right there where my finger's moving. That's where those 5 or 6 green peppers came from inside. I was moving things around, getting more air to everything, and it snapped, and I was like, well, got to pick them peppers. You can see these red hot peppers here. They're coming back now. Got a couple of them on there. So these are real hot ones that, once they start going, they'll just go crazy. You can see that eggplant right there. You see that big one there. Let's see if I can get this leaf out of the way. You can see it back in there, and there's one over there. There's 3 or 4 nice size eggplants on there. If we go behind and in here, I don't have the greatest view, but you can see the cucumbers growing on there. They're finally starting to get to about 4 inches long. There's like 2 or 3 of them growing on there now, so they're starting to pick up. That was another thing. The cucumbers, probably 50%, 60% of stuff here I bought from up north, but like the cucumbers, the squashes, the tomatoes, and all that I did down here, and they're already growing to get. They're growing to get. They're getting getting to grow to full size now. So that's really good. You can see the raspberries are looking good. Not really their time to bloom now. I'm going to trim them back, but I got them to where they went from doing nothing to they're starting to do a little bit of basil there, and you once again see those banana peppers on there, and the banana peppers seem to be doing real well. This is another type of squash. I think this one here is a patty pan, but the squashes take a little longer to really get going, and then once they get themselves moving and going, and like I'm moving these leaves up past this first bar so they don't all break and get nasty like that one's getting already. Want to keep them up, then eventually they'll just take over and you won't have too much control on them, but just keep them moving upwards as they're growing. This one here is another pepper, and this one is a type of green, looks like a smaller bell pepper, but I honestly think this is a purple bell pepper. It's a type of purple bell pepper, and but it's coming back. It was very dormant and pretty much over with. And here's another purple bell right here, but it's not fully. Two, three. There's like 4 of them growing on there. We go here. These are some of these poblano peppers. They're looking really nice. It's coming back. I didn't know if it was going to make it, but I did enough with it to keep it going, obviously. And that's another purple bell there. And I wanted to see the size of that eggplant right there. That's way oversized of what I would normally keep them growing to, but it just, went away. And you can see the other ones in there. And like I said, they're all ready to be taken out. So today will be a harvest day because I've got too many on there, and eventually see the yellowing on the leaves and stuff. It's just taking so much to keep all that going. It's not using nutrition throughout the whole plant. But otherwise, it's gone pretty good. This jalapeno, they're coming back. You see jalapenos all over this plant here. They're everywhere, and it's green, and it's hard to see them, but believe me, there are jalapenos all over that. This one back here is, they turn orange when they're fully ripe and ready to go, and they are habanero peppers. My wife or I don't eat them because they're too hot. And sometimes you grow stuff just because it's colorful and you do things. But the neighbors down here and the neighbors up north, they eat them like they're nothing. So that's the ones who get them. I wanted to show you these blonde peppers back in here. Right, so I'm looking at them now. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like 9, 10. Well, no, there's more than that. Like 12 blonde peppers on there. And they grow up okay up north, but not like they're growing here. This is another cucumber here, and you can see it's just doing great. It's lifting up. It's taking its little twiny, what do you call them, stems, and they attach yourself to everything in the night. You see one attached right there where my hand is. And they will all attach yourself, and then you got to keep them trimmed. And you see stuff will eat a leaf down here like this. So I just eliminate that leaf when I come through here to trim everything. And like one that starts to get that brown stuff, I just pull it right off and let it go from there. No different here than it is up north, to where what you have to watch for on any kind of vegetable growth that you're putting in your gardening is you got to make sure the bottom, you notice all these, just looking at the bottom 8 to 12 inches. Once they start to get up to size, you want to cut all the stems and everything off and let it grow itself a nice main stalk or stem or trunk, whatever you want to call it. And I have to do it to some of these new ones. I haven't done it because they're newer, but once they get to this point they are now, because in the last week or two, the amount of growth has been incredible. Once it gets to that point, you want to keep any stems, leaves, or anything as much as you can out of dirt, no matter what you add to these. Now, what I wanted to show you mainly is if you look on the front of the trailer there, on the front of that trailer is a box I built out of plywood, treated lumber, and everything like that. So I don't bring anything from up north to down here. I start over down here and do it all over, and vice versa. Whatever I have left down here, we give to our neighbor down the street. She keeps it all and eats the tomatoes, peppers, or whatever, eggplant, anything that's left that's on those things till they die. She just keeps eating them, and that way I know they're being used. And when I come back down, after we go up for 3 or 4 months in the summer, we have, if we go up, she just gives me back the buckets in the metal, and I can just go to town. So getting back to that 50–60% of stuff was bought from up north. Out of that 50%, let's say there's, let me see here real quick. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 20. If there's 25 to 30 buckets altogether, 50% came from up there. And out of that 50%, 25%, only probably 10% were in buckets that I could just take the bucket up, put it on my trailer, and put it inside that casing up there and bring it down. The other ones were somewhere in the ground, which I do sometimes, because if it's a certain type of plant up north, like eggplants and certain stuff, they grow better. They grow good in containers, but some of them grow better in the ground. And you just figured out over the years which ones are better to do it with, grow in the ground or grow in a bucket. So that being said, what I did was I got everything I could stuffed back into that thing full, all the way on the ground, tied all the baskets together, pushed it all back in there. And what I did was I bought a sunshade cloth, heavy duty sunshade cloth. And what I did was, the box is very stable, is I just wrapped it around the top, taped it all the way around the sides like 3 or 4 times, and I just bungeed the crap out of this thing. And then I had on this backside, I had some extra shawls I had left and some wood that I bought down, different stuff, and I put that all around that, sealed it up, and I was like, man, this is great. And that way the vegetable plants won't get all torn up by the wind. They'll lose some leaves, but can get a little break here and there. But I'm in a covered area, and I got that tarp on top. Man, we are in good shape. Well, lo and behold, let me get back here and I'll show you what this thing looks like here from the front. Lo and behold, like I said, you didn't really see the plywood. You didn't even see the box. It had a big tarp, and like I said, it was all tightened down with straps and bungees and everything. Well, by the time I left and I got to Washington, D.C., I looked back in my rearview mirror and I saw a little tear going in the thing. I'm like, oh, I got to get off the side of the road here and fix it. And then I looked, and the tear got a little worse, but I'm like, by the time I get down to below Richmond, I'll pull over and I'll rehook it up and see what I can do with it to keep it going just for the ride down. And if I lose it, I lose it, Well, by the time I got down to the bottom of Richmond, I happened to look in the mirror again when I was pulling my trailer behind me, and I looked, and there was a big old tear. So then I pulled over in a rest area, and I had to unstrap everything and get rid of the tarp, because once I got to the very back of it on this side, it was gone. The thing was just shredded everywhere, and I was like, well, there's $45 down the drain, which I figured just air, and it's got holes in it. It's just a box there. I figured, and it was all strapped tight. Figuring I wouldn't think it would rip, which is the air across it. Well, it just shredded it. So then once I got it all off, I had to tie everything down a little more inside that box while I was on the road and got it set up. And then I got down to here, and like when I've come down here after a hurricane and different stuff, and it's windy and it's in our area, it just, there's hardly any leaves left on anything. Things are laying over. It's just, everything just looks dead. It eventually comes back here, but it just looks terrible. Well, I have to tell you, every plant I bought down here looked the same way. The leaves were all missing. Looked like it'd been through hell. And I didn't know if I was going to be able to save them. Right, I'd have to replant everything. Well, what I did was I went back to the basics, and my first thing was to do was get them trimmed up lower and get them back to where they weren't trying to feed so much of a bush style plant like you see here. And I trimmed them way back, and then I gave them a real good shot of bone meal and blood meal, and watered them about every 3 or 4 days real heavy. And they started coming back after a week or two. They started looking a little better, and I was bone mealing them. I stopped the blood meal because two things: bone meal was for fruiting and wanting the plant to produce. The blood meal was for like the roots and the dirt that allow it to get bigger and get greener leaves and do all that. So they do two different things. So once I started getting the leaves back on the soft, everything working the way it was, I just blood milled them, like I said, like once a week. And within a month and a quarter, month and a half, everything came back. And then once I knew I got the leaves back and started seeing everything flower, I was like, well, I'm going to have production here out of this. After all, I'm not going to have to redo all this. It was a great success. Like I said, gardening is a great thing, but sometimes it works for you, and sometimes it don't do damn for you. So, but the normal way I've been doing things up north, and I do them here with all the Florida style trees, bushes, plants, fruit trees, everything I got, and the mixtures I use are working just as well down here as they were up north. In fact, the production, especially of I'm not sure of the tomatoes yet that I get going, but the eggplants, the peppers, and everything else, they're just going absolutely nuts, and we're in more than happy with the way things are going. So the first thing I'll do before I trim these, I'll come out today and I will water heavily the buckets, let them get through most of the water, drain out of the holes drilled on the bottom with the dirt mixture I always use, which we'll go over that next time I plant everything. But just remember, it's potting soil, peat moss, and manure. So it's a third, and third. So whatever you mix up to put in your wheelbarrow, it's got to be a bag of potting soil, bag of manure, and the same amount of potting soil, which is probably a third of one of those big bags. And you mix that all together and add your fertilizer to it and put it in, and then soak it real heavy and plant your plants or seed whatever way you want. And before you know it, you were just going to town with everything. And I'd say my production rate over the last, I only started videoing probably 7, 8 years ago, I think. But over the last 15, 20 years of gardening has just been crazy. And like I said, I do it just from, when I used to be stressed out from work and dealing with everything, it just relaxed me and made me feel better. But like I said, I gave most of it away or gave it to family if they wanted it. If not, it's just the way it went. And I froze a lot, and the freezer would get full every year. So we'll go here, and then I want to come over here to this. Just got done this yesterday over here with more vegetables, and you can see the rack right there that I did. And this rack here, as you see, it's kind of hurting because I just planted everything. It's not used to this full sun yet, but you can see the strawberries there. There's all kind of, the whole rack of that is strawberries. Got more strawberries, some mint, that one's sticking, some basil, some cilantro, some broccoli, and then more mint. And then these are all broccoli on the bottom with one strawberry down there. But you see, like when I come out this morning, the sun's so strong down here. When I come out this morning, they were all standing straight up and looking great, just like when I put them in. And when you wet things like that, they kind of look kind of crappy at first. And then what I ended up doing was I come out this morning and looked, and when the sun was just coming up, they were standing straight up and looking good. But the heat down here just gets to them so much during the day. So I have to get used to watering this more often so it can keep up. So as soon as I'm done this video here, I will water the whole contraption up again. It's been watered like 3 times in 2 days already. But I just want to keep that soil cool and watered down because, I mean, these tubes, just like up north or anywhere else, these tubes, they just get hot. And down here, it's nothing compared to the summer. So in the summer months, late spring, summer, early fall, down here, I will most likely have nothing in here because besides the stuff I put in the ground, and if I'm not here to watch it and water it, which I am sometimes. Sometimes it just depends on what's going on with the family. You have to you have to be here to take care of, especially vegetables. Otherwise, they'll just go to crap, and you'll have nothing left at all, and they'll just burn them all up. Over here, the only thing I got really going here is potatoes here, and these can't remember. I bought these potatoes. They're a special type of potato I've seen advertised, and I put them in like a month and a half ago up north. They were sitting on the trailer getting full sun like normal potatoes, and they just never amounted to anything. So I can't remember what they were called. Um, Geez, sometimes I remember, but I just can't right now. I can't. So I'll be taking those out, and I'll be going back to my red and purple standard potatoes I use that seem to grow very well in containers, and then I'll be going back to the regular Idaho spuds and stuff that I grow that grow pretty good. And I said that's part of success and failure. You hear my dog back here. Success of and failures of gardening and doing things. So it's just part of the game. You got to put up with it. And like I said, some years you have great years, and some years are just terrible. No matter if you do things the same way, but you got to stick to your guns and know what works out better for mostly everything you do. So I'm going to let you go with that, with where we are with the garden vegetables and stuff like that, and then I'm going to come back and give you one of the yard, everything we got in the yard. We've got a lot of new stuff in the yard, and we'll just keep going on. And then, like I said, I'm not going to post as often as I used to, but I'm going to post what I think is important to you. Don't forget, no matter what anybody tells you, don't buy all them fancy fertilizers and all that crap. Bone meal and blood meal. It doesn't matter if you're putting a fruit tree in or you're putting a bush in or something like that. Bone meal and blood meal does the trick, right? Bone meal for fruiting or flowering. The blood meal is for the roots and the greenness of the plant to grow. All right, guys, I'm going to let you go. Hope to hear back from you all, comment-wise, and everything's going good, and we'll talk to you soon. All right, guys, we'll see you now. Bye.